So the last thing that we really want to do now is do an even higher res sim. Currently we have, let's look at how many voxels these things are. I'm just going to go to some late frame here. And so now we're waiting for that scatter volume to be calculated. But in any case, so if I middle click and hold on this, if it wants to come back to me, we're at, the density is about 488, 510, 461. I, as a rule of thumb, tend to think in terms of, like, if my domain is like a cube, which this one kind of is, honestly, I usually think in terms of like 600 to 700 is like my high res area. Because obviously this is all exponential. Even though our actual disk space was only like 8 gigs, that's because it was compressed so much afterwards. While it's running in RAM, it might be a lot more. And in fact, I'm talking like you have quite a bit of RAM. You might find that what we have already, 0.04 as our simulation resolution, might already be putting your computer to its maximum capabilities. It might already be beyond your computer's maximum capabilities for all I know. I don't really know. I do know, however, that in my case, I have 128 gigs of RAM. So I have no excuse, and we'll have to push this a little bit further. As I said, it's already getting close to that 600 kind of area. So we can't really reduce it that much more. So I'm just going to go 0.03. That's still going to give us like 2 times as many voxels overall. It's not two times in each axis, which would give us 8 times as many voxels overall. But just going from 0.04 to 0.04 to 0.03 is probably going to give us around 2 times as many more voxels. So it's going to be twice as much RAM. It's going to be twice as long to sim, and so on. So this is just going to be squeaking out just a little bit more resolution, although it's going to take a lot longer to do. And at the same time, I want to do essentially our final renders for the explosion anyway. We're going to do the ground plane in the next chapter. But here we are, turn off override camera resolution. And I'm also going to say, I don't want to use tops for this because I'm not doing a whole wedging thing. I'm just going to say, let's do a regular fetch here, which is similar to the fetch ROP over in tops land. Come over here and say, I'm going to fetch my file cache hero here. So I'll put that there, like so. I'll actually do this. I'll say this is the file cache hero HQ. And I'll point my switch to that, just so I can keep that other cache on the disk. And this will actually be what I am going to render. So over here, this is going to run this cache, and then this mantra node is going to render it. I'll even make a separate thing for this. I'll say this can go into mantra HQ. And that's it. Hopefully that works. I mean, what else can I say? As before, when we dropped down from 0.08 to 0.04 resolution, it changed our sim a decent amount. It was roughly the same shape, but it was different. When we drop down from 0.04 to 0.03, it's not going to change that much because it's only a little bit. Twice as much resolution in each axis is a pretty big difference. So 0.03 is thankfully not going to do that much, but hopefully it could get us just a little bit more detail that we'll appreciate, because now that we're going to do our full-size renders. And that's it. So that's going to take some time to sim. It's definitely going to take some time to render. Oh, these renders are pretty fast, honestly. And we should take a moment to appreciate that. I mean, these renders are really fast because we did the scatter work for it. The most complicated part of the rendering job, we just said, listen, we'll take it. We'll handle it. Don't worry about it. So if anything, Mantra owes us. But yeah, gonna render this. Click on the purple button here. Change this to node by node. That way it does the full sim cache first. and then it does the mantra, and that's it. Run it. See you tomorrow. And here's the result. Yeah, here, draw a curve. And it looks really cool. I mean, pretty much the same general shape as our resolution of 0.04. This is 0.03 now, but, you know, still pretty much looks the same. And I think it looks super rad. You know, we get the nice light smoke here. We've got all the cool detail that starts as fire and turns into smoke. And that was the whole general idea, again, of the gasoline explosion, is to have this kind of these features riding along the top of it, which just looks like fire detail anyway. We have the bright, again, crevices and things. Yeah, it looks super rad. You know, we'll put it on over a ground plane. We'll push it a little bit further in comp, but, you know, as it is, it already looks cool. Looking at the flame main, we can see we have flame detail all the way from the get-go. And that's because we were able to densify our density based on those early temperatures. I mean, it still fades away, the temperature that is, but it helps us to keep, again, our density nice. So there you go. And I really love the way the flame scatter looks. I mean, you could even make the case where you might remove the flame main entirely. You might tone down the flame main, you know, this, and focus more on this, because this looks super rad. CE here is the combination of the two. Remember, we had scatter, and then CE is bringing the main into it. I mean, you really probably should have both. It just has that much more detail. So that looks super cool all together. And then on top of all of our smoke, we get that. So yeah, so that's it. So that's our render. We're not going to render this anymore. The explosion itself is done. Let's talk about compositing now.